In this next section, we're going to spend some time on patterns, but before we do, I want to talk about the pattern workout book because this is a great resource for you to use at home to practice your patterns. This has, for all 24 patterns, and plus the 4 direction movements, descriptions of every movement in the pattern. So we see here, for example, if I do Chonji, move the left foot to B, forming a left walking stance toward B, while executing a low block to B with the left forearm. And I'll show you how you can do that with either by yourself or with somebody reading the book to you in just a moment. It's a very good resource. If you need a copy of this, please get in touch. Now before we do, when it talks about these directions, we think about D is in front of us, A is to the right, C is behind us, and B is to the left. So if I think about dunk all cats bravely, that's the way that I remember that sequence of 4. In some patterns, you'll also have an E and an F. So where we have D, A, C, B, on the same side as A, further up in the pattern you've got E, and then you've got F on the other side. Patterns like Dosan have that in their description. So starting for Chonji, for example, I'll have that first movement read to me and then I'll describe to you how that works.
Move the left foot to B, forming a left walking stance toward B while executing a low block to B with the left forearm.
So there's the description of the movement we just heard. Move the left foot to B while executing a left walking stance and a low block with the left forearm.
Move the right foot to B, forming a right walking stance toward B while executing a middle punch to B with the right fist.
Move the right foot to B, forming a right walking stance toward B while executing a middle punch with the right fist. Now it's a middle front punch, but just assume that it's front.
Move the right foot to A, turning clockwise to form a right walking stance toward A while executing a low block to A with the right forearm.
Okay, moving the right foot to A, turning clockwise. Right foot to A, turning clockwise, while executing a forearm low block.
Move the left foot to A, forming a left walking stance toward A while executing a middle punch to A with the left fist.
There we go. So that's how the descriptions in the book work. There are some places where it might get a little bit unclear where they talk about when you have movements like this in Wonyo, when you're stepping from one foot to the other. Sometimes, particularly up in the higher patterns, when you start getting into things like Sungil, and it talks about spot turns and things like that, the descriptions can be a little unclear and you might need some clarification from a senior or instructor. Really good way to learn your patterns properly, because you will then learn exactly the stance, you'll learn the movement that you're doing, you'll learn its height, and all of that key information. Now all of the hand movements in your pattern are either in the fundamental movements for your grade or in the fundamental movements for earlier grades. And your kicks, of course, are in much earlier grades than they are in the patterns. So you should know how the fundamental movement works, and then when you put it together into the pattern, it's simply a matter of putting a sequence of movements that you know together. Now when you've got a space in your house or outside in your yard big enough to do your patterns, that's fantastic. You can go through and work through your patterns. I'll do that for again about 15 minutes. If you haven't got space, if you're quite limited to space the way that I am, you can adjust a little bit your movements. So imagine in this little space I'm doing pattern 1-yo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to modify my stepping so that I fit. It's not quite as ideal as having enough space to do the pattern, but you can still do full movements, full power, just making those little adjustments. Work through your patterns for 15 minutes and then come on for the next video.